Believe it or not, it's our responsibility to provide our next generation with the guidance, the fortitude, the strength, the community, and knowledge that they need to succeed.
We gotta cancel culture, change the way our kids are thinking. Think about the pain and anguish. We can save next generation. Break the cycle, no administration. Replacing anger with contemplation. Gotta teach them how to use their minds. Remind our kids they born divine. With a right to be, with a right to live, with a right to be exactly who they is. Cause eventually they'll be writing them in a prison cell while you're wiping tears.
I know, cause that was me.
Just ask my mama. I'm sorry for the things I did when I was young. I know no better. On second thought, I knew a lot. In retrospect,
I know it's been a minute since y'all seen us together. Dedicated, passionate father, entrepreneur, multi-job worker. He reminded me of the In Living Color skits.
Yeah.
We got 6 jobs when I was 10.
Someone else said that to me the other day, actually.
Yeah, I got 13 jobs. Which is funny because I'm part West Indian, so that always hit home with us.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we get down. But anyways, I want to welcome y'all to Chapter 3, another episode. We're going through the book, A Blueprint for Parents. For those of you that don't know, a blueprint is actually an acronym. BLU, Betterment, Love, Unity, Print, Preserve and Recovery, Intentionally Navigating Trauma. This is a parenting book I've been actually nationally recognized for recently. They just did a specialist spotlight for me on a national training website.
That's huge.
Growth Central Training. Yeah, I was super honored and humbled because really I'm just super passionate about these topics, about changing, especially the Black father narrative, right? Because like we got a bad rap and it's not. Like I don't see it.
And that's not always the case either.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see it. So while I'm doing this book, people that are following along, we're going to read it. But I also want to include moms. You've seen the first 2 episodes, had my 19-year-old, and she'll be coming back for more. My 26-year-old said she'll come on, and her friend, who has 2 kids and navigating relationships and difficult dynamics. So I think having people in space with me as we go through these exercises in this book to bring to life some this is how you do the exercises or what they could look like with real people. Like you are really the dad.
Yeah.
You guys maybe need an introduction. This is Kalvin. We started out relatives. It's my cousin. But also, when I came home this time around, and even before I got out, Kalvin was one of the people that always accepted my call, sent me money, looked out for me, knew what I was thinking about doing and working on. And he's one of the few people that constantly tells me, man, you did everything you said you were going to do.
You really did.
Did. He was the first person I invited to the first podcast. We collaboratively, him, myself, and my wife, Loving Lacey. And we did that for, 3 seasons?
Something.
Yeah,
three.
3 seasons. 3 seasons of Loving Lacey Podcast. And then we started to do the Black Men's Therapy on the Couch, which this was kind of going to be one of those. But in light of the fact that I have this project going on, and I'm like, who better than Kalvin to come here and talk about the things, fatherhood, and this chapter landed on a particular topic. I know Kalvin is well versed in whether it's good or bad, well versed regardless, right? Chapter 3 is the importance of protecting your peace. Right, we hear it a lot, but let's just go ahead.
It's also one of those things that you may hear it a lot, but you don't put much thought into it until it's too late, oftentimes, right? So yeah.
For the practice, people, will say a phrase,
right?
But really, if you engage in dialogue with them about what that means,
they don't know what you're talking about.
They really don't have so I wanted to, put this particular topic in my parenting book because the importance of it is significant.
Right.
So, without further ado, I almost didn't. The other reason I almost didn't have you come was because I had to take a Benadryl. I started getting all allergic.
It's starting to get that season, man.
It is. And I almost didn't want to be on camera in case I was sniffling the whole time, but it is what it is.
But we got to give it to him raw. Come on.
I like doing this,
Come
man,
on.
and I do it because I like doing it. I don't get paid. My channel isn't monetized. I haven't even tried to monetize it.
Right.
because I really enjoy doing this, especially when my kids are doing it with me. Like I can't. I'm
There
modeling.
is no price.
How
on
can you
that.
model a better connection than like the
Right.
things you're doing? You're including your kids in, and they're wanting to be like, I don't pressure them if they don't want to do it. It's whatever, you know. So yeah, I want to give you an opportunity
Let's do
to start it out. Page, do the thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Show you guys the book. My cousin wrote this, man. It's beautiful. Chapter 3: The Importance of Protecting Your Peace. In today's fast-paced, often stressful world, it's easy to become overwhelmed by weight of conflict, whether it's in our personal relationships, at work, or within our own minds. Too often we find ourselves arguing over things that aren't worth the emotional toll, and sometimes we don't even truly believe the very thing we are willing to fight over. We might be willing to risk our peace over a difference of opinion, only to realize that we've hurt our partner, ourselves, and the very relationship we're trying to protect. This bringing us to an essential question. What does it really mean to protect your peace? Protecting your peace isn't just about keeping your mind calm, it's about taking responsibility for the emotional climate of your immediate surroundings, especially the relationships that matter most. It's about knowing that your peace can serve as a foundation for healing, growth, and connection, not just for you, but for everyone around you. Being a person of peace means being accountable to your family dynamics, your friendships, and your partnerships. It means realizing that the energy you bring to any relationship can influence its outcome, and that protecting your peace contributes to a healthier, more harmonious life. The four agreements and protecting your peace. As we explore the concept of protecting your peace, it's important to reflect on the four agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, which offer profound wisdom for living peacefully and mindfully in our relationships. These agreements help us reframe how we connect, react, and interact with the world and those closest to us. They serve as a foundation for protecting our inner peace and maintaining integrity in our relationships. So, what does that mean to you thus far?
I mean, I'm a real strong believer. Have been for a long time, and it's not like when I say believer, I think people will think like religious. So I want to say,
Mm.
I want to reframe that
Okay.
and say when it comes to the four agreements, I've been a vigilant practitioner,
Okay.
right? Because I have not mastered them, and I really, really believe in the power of them. And it doesn't matter what religion you're from; the four agreements can be applied
To anyone in any
because
space, any beliefs,
it's about a way
any
of life.
right,
It's
right.
about how to be a better version of yourself. And so the four agreements, for those of you that don't know, it's a pretty famous book. I mean, lots of people have heard about it. But if you haven't, there's a reason why it's incorporated in my parenting book. Uh, the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using your words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. With words, we have immense casting power. We
Hmm.
can either plant seeds of healing or poison the relationship with bitterness and resentment. And though, these are the words of Don Miguel Ruiz, but these are profound beliefs of mine. And like I said, I've been a practitioner for quite a while, and I really understand the importance. Like we really have two choices, right? Words matter. They can hurt, they can destroy, but they can also build. And so
Right.
every time you're going to respond to a thing, it would be good practice to think of, are you building right now or are you breaking, right? Because there's really no passive bystanders in communication. Either you're communicating with someone and they're being uplifted and they feel good after that communication, or they don't.
Hmm. I remember I heard once. This is back in the day. A good friend of mine, you actually know him too. He said, "I don't burn bridges, I build them." Tonio Fawcett said that
Mm,
once, and I never forgot that when he said that.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Number two. So the second agreement is don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you.
Mm.
What others say and do is a projection of their own reality. And when you take things personally, you make yourself vulnerable to unnecessary suffering. Instead of reacting with judgment, use curiosity to understand where others are coming from. I often say this analogy when I'm doing trainings or I'm doing like parenting one-on-ones is like, if we all were in like a matrix type system, or if we use the analogy of like VR sets,
Right.
and if I got a VR set on and I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, and you got a VR set on but you playing NBA 2K,
Right.
nothing we argue about is ever going to make sense
Right.
until we have an understanding of what we're viewing the world through the filter of. And so if I know he's playing NBA 2K in his VR set and he's commenting on what I'm doing, I know it's got nothing to do with me.
Nothing.
It's got everything to do with him and his perception and his whatever's in his VR set.
Right.
And so
And I also think a lot of that has to do with one's ego too, and being wise enough to put your ego aside. Because I've gotten myself in a lot of trouble taking things personally when it may not even necessarily been directed at me.
yeah,
Right?
When
It may not even been directed at me. Right? So I agree with that.
the third agreement is don't make assumptions.
Yep.
Find the courage to ask questions
Yep.
and express what you really want. Communicate clearly and don't assume you know what others are thinking or feeling. Assumptions create unnecessary conflict, misunderstanding, and can break down trust in relationships. I mean, we don't really have to elaborate on that. Like, if you know the old adage, I don't even need to repeat it. The fourth agreement is always do your best, right? Which is a great way to encapsulate all the other ones. So that's why I reframed earlier to I'm a 4 agreement practitioner, but I'm also a blueprint agreement practitioner because these are agreements I made with myself. So there's no external influence when it comes to agreements. You know, when you make agreements with yourself, these are your boundaries. These are how you protect your peace. These are how you know who you are and what you stand for, your core beliefs, your agreements, your boundaries, right? So always do your best. You will, and your best will vary from moment to moment. So under any circumstance, simply do your best, not more, not less. And you will avoid self-judgment and regret. In your relationships, doing your best means showing up with intention and care, even when times are tough. So just think about that. You just do your best.
Right.
As long as you can like look in the mirror at the end of the day and think, is there anything I could have done more? Our brains will tell us absolutely there is, and then there goes that cycle.
And you know.
Yeah,
right.
There goes that cycle. But we have to go back to the last chapters where we talked about our belief checklist, right? If we believe we've done our best, we can run that through whatever our belief checklist mechanism is, and then we'll have the data to combat any of those what we call ants, which is automatic negative thoughts, right? We combat the ants with data that says I can. And so
and I also feel it's okay to fail if you gave it your all, right? It's one thing to attempt something half-assed and you're gonna fail at it, but you can sleep at night knowing you gave it all that you could and you did not succeed. You can look yourself in the mirror and respect yourself for it. I always tell my son that. I just want you to try. I just want you to do your best, despite what happens.
Yeah.
If you give it your all, I'm happy for that. And the outcome is honestly irrelevant.
Man, I'm so glad you said that because even in a different book I wrote, the FitFo Toolbox, I talk about changing the structure of the way we make goals because fixating on particular goals with very specific outcomes create self-kidnapping. Right? You're incarcerating yourself to a specific outcome. And the example is if you say, in 3 years from today, I'm going to buy a house. If you get close to that mark, but you look at the data and you're not close enough to making that goal,
right,
what happens? You might take risks.
Right.
You might be, you might start being depressed. You might give up entirely because
right.
you basically when you're making a goal to do a thing with a very specific outcome, it's like withdrawing in advance.
Right.
You've already taken that
Right.
outcome and the rewards from doing that. And so now in your mind, you owe yourself completing that goal.
Right.
Because you've already benefited from,
Right.
you see what I'm saying? And
You've
then
been telling everybody and then,
all the things. So then what happens when you don't? It's like you're in debt
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't finish the project that you got paid to do. It's like getting an advance on the book and then you get writer's block on the last chapter.
Now the egg's on your face.
Right. Yeah, you're going to go in depression. So you're incarcerating yourself. So my shift was open-ended outcome goals, where instead of saying I'm going to buy a house in 3 years, say I'm going to start saving to buy a house and see what happens. Because in 3 years, you'll have the data you need to either pull the trigger on starting to buy a house, or maybe I need another 2 years. And then you're winning the whole. So that's not a failure. If the goal is to buy a house in 3 years, then you fail after 3 years. If you got 75% of the money, that becomes a complete loss.
Which is actually a huge accomplishment. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Huge. Right.
So, having 75% just means, okay, I need another year. But if you're locked into that 3-year mark, then you're causing harm to yourself at that point. Right. So, that's kind of where I wanted to go with that, just to kind of talk about why it's so important to reframe the way we commit to things and how much value we put on them up front. Right. You say, I need to be a manager in my job by A, B, or C, or I'm quitting, right? You hear that type of talk. And then if you get to that point and say you don't get the manager and don't quit.
Right. Now what?
Now you're doubly.
Now what?
Now you're doubly like going in on yourself. Because now you're upset that you didn't even follow through with quitting.
Right.
You're upset you didn't get the manager job, but then you're like, but you don't have the courage to quit.
And you got passed up by someone who you thought
all
you
the things.
Right.
But
the whole
you're just like
the whole
you know
dynamic.
what I'm saying? I'm gonna just go hella hard every day I show up and see what happens. You're winning every day.
And you can also control how hard you go every day. You can't control all the other external things that happen.
Yeah, you can't control other people.
Can't control it.
Here, check this out. Go ahead and read narrow it down. This is
the Platinum Rule. An evolution of the Golden Rule encourages us to treat others how they want to be treated rather than how we want to be treated. This is especially important in protecting your peace because everyone has a different emotional needs, ways of communicating, and preferences. By using curiosity and willingness to listen, we can understand how our partner, family member, or friend feels valued and respected, allowing us to adjust our behavior in ways that help preserve peace and avoid conflict. When we truly understand and practice the Platinum Rule, we're not only protecting our own peace, but we're also creating a space of others' peace for others and making it easy for them to feel heard, respected, and understood. Exercise/activity, protecting your peace, a modern scenario.
All right, before we get into the scenario, I just want to give those of you that haven't been to speaking engagements or haven't heard me talk about the Platinum Rule. Brene Brown talks about it. There's history on the Platinum Rule, right? It's not anything I created or developed.
Okay.
I heard it in a training and then I did some research on it. But my personal analogy that I've been able to really hammer in explaining like the differences. So the Golden Rule, right? We say we want to treat people the way we want to be treated, right? That's the Golden Rule. Everyone's heard it. People say it all the time. So here's what the Golden Rule looks like. Kalvin says to me, "Hey, can I borrow your car?" I'm like, all day, bro. You already know. Here are the keys. And then before he leaves, he says, "Hey, bro, I'm going to treat it like it's mine." That's the Golden Rule, right? Now, as he's walking away, I might think, I know Kalvin be speeding and maybe smoking cigarettes and, doing reckless things in vehicles. So I run out there like, "Oh, hold on."
Right.
I hear you, bro. I know you got good intention,
right.
but do me a favor and treat it like it's mine.
Right.
That's the Platinum Rule.
I agree with that. Right.
It's treating my car the way I want it to be treated, not the way you would want it to be treated.
Right.
Because if you treat it like yours might be dirty and
Right.
and mine's a different thing, right? So treating it the way, treating people the way they want to be treated is how that looks. Because him treating the car like it's mine means it's not getting smoked in. It's not getting the tires spent out.
Right.
It's not getting garbage thrown on the floor. He's got to, return it cleaned and all the things. So the platinum rule in relationships is and that part about leaning in with curiosity, right? So how do we do that? Yeah, let's read the scenario and see. We'll
Okay. Scenario: imagine a situation where you and your partner are both feeling overwhelmed. You've both had long days, and when you finally get a chance to talk, the conversation quickly turns into an argument. Your partner says something that pushes your buttons, and you feel yourself getting defensive. In the heat of the moment, you want to react, but you remember that protecting your peace is key.
okay. What's the first little part say?
Class discussion prompts. 1. What are some ways you can respond to your partner in this situation without reacting defensively?
You got one on the top of your head?
Don't use the word always, right?
Mm,
When you're in an argument, you always do this, because that's not true. You don't always do that, right? And what that does is that it immediately comes off attacking, right? When you put someone, categorize, generalize.
it's called an absolute.
There we go. Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Don't use the word always, right? Speak about this particular situation in this particular time. And another thing, this is kind of along the lines, um, bringing up old stuff. If we've gotten past that and we've moved on beyond that, let's keep today's argument, beef situation about today,
Yeah.
right? Let's not rehash old things when we've both come to the conclusion that we are beyond that.
Okay, so
I think that causes a lot of
so
problems.
this chapter and being the author, right? Like, so if I was doing like a one-on-one session or even a class, this is my template, right? And
Mm,
so the reason why I'm even putting out this content is because this was written as a study guide, a workbook that would actually, partner with like other specialists, parenting specialists, a teacher, and it would have a facilitator's guide. So when I hear what you're saying when it comes to like protecting your peace, right? It is the person's job whose EQ is higher to it's their
what do you mean by
responsibility.
EQ?
So EQ is your emotional intelligence, right?
Mm,
We always talk about
mm,
who's got a high IQ, who's got a high IQ,
okay.
who's the smartest kid in school, but who's the most emotionally intelligent is the person who's going to move through life easier. And the reason is regardless of everything we interact with, at the core of it is human beings. So humans operate off their emotions. Our amygdala, which is our survival kind
Yep.
of brain that kicks in when we're feeling threatened, whatever, it's ran on emotions. So if you feel fear, you start to act out
Right.
through your
Right.
amygdala, making decisions to protect you in survival mode.
Right.
So if you understand emotions starting with yourself, in that scenario, how do you protect your peace? How, when you're in that argument and someone's bringing up the past and you're going because you say attack, what happens when people are in
Right.
attack? The amygdala gets fired. You're under
Right.
threat. So it's fight, flight, fright, or fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? You're going to be aggressive, passive aggressive, whatever it is. Or you're so to protect our peace, it's the data, right?
Mm,
We're collecting the data about the situation, starting with ourselves. And that's where it's like, she said the thing, he said the thing, you're feeling a certain type of way. So ask yourself why.
right.
Why are you feeling this type of way? What about your core beliefs? Because we did the belief checklist already, right? So what about your core beliefs is giving you justification to be upset?
Okay.
And then if you run it through those and you start to cool down, your prefrontal cortex takes back over, and now you're thinking straight, and you can get curious, right? And why, as we talked about before, is always an accusation, right? So instead of saying, you said never say always, I'm saying
Mm,
never ask somebody why, right? So they bring up the thing, why'd you bring that up? That's an accusation,
Okay.
right?
It is. It is an accusation.
So
right.
what
I
you
see what you're saying.
So what you can do is, well, reframe that to, hold on, I'm curious what that has to do with today. If you
Right.
presented a rebuttal to somebody bringing up a past and an argument that's usually on the surface completely unrelated, especially to you when you're like, hey, what? I just didn't vacuum yesterday. What are you talking about? This garbage I didn't take out in December. You know what I mean? So it's like, what does that have to do with today? I'm curious. Right?
Right.
And do we need to unpack that before we unpack this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? The person with the higher emotional intelligence has the responsibility. It's just like a parent, a child. You know, if we're both in karate and I get to brown belt before you and I'm, you know, we're on the same team, right? Collaboration. I'm the mentor at that point. So the person that has the knowledge, that has the skills, that does the training, it's their responsibility to protect the peace of the scenario, because it takes two people to engage in combative communication.
It does.
It takes two people to engage in combative communication. So by protecting
as much as we don't want to
peace,
admit that, it does.
It does. So by protecting your peace, you're also protecting their peace, because they're not allowed to engage in a combative communication with you because you're not allowing it.
Right.
So when I wrote Protecting Your Peace and the importance of it, it's about maintaining not just your peace and not weaponizing, oh, I'm protecting my peace, as I've seen it done in the community. What protecting your peace means for a father, you know, I lean heavily in that direction because that's what I am, right? It's about masculine humility. It's about understanding you could get loud and get aggressive and dead a conversation, or try to use the might is right philosophy where it's like, nah, woo, woo, woo. And then you make somebody bow down.
Right.
But why would you ever want to do that? And how does that protect your peace? Maybe in the moment you could get the person to walk away from you, but if this is a person you're in a relationship with, you've just, like Don Miguel Ruiz said, you've just spoken against yourself. Because if I say something that plants the seed of resentment in you, it's going to come back to me later.
At some point.
So when you think you're down talking someone else, you're actually speaking poison into yourself. So you're not protecting your peace when you're attacking somebody else, even when you think it's in defense, right? And this is something I am on a regular practicing, like in certain situations with certain relationships, because a lot of individuals that I communicate with in my life are, you know, using the coping mechanisms that they've had that have always worked. And a lot of that is guilt tripping, gaslighting, manipulating. And some of them, if you call it out, it creates more conflict. And so for me to protect my peace, I might drop a seed and be like, hey, this is what this is. And then I just disengage.
Right.
Let them think about that, because as long as there's no if there's nothing to conflict against, there's no resistance. So it's not that I cower or become passive. It's that I say, hey, I'm not engaging in this combat.
You know where it's going to go anyway. Right.
Yeah. You know, it's like I build a mirror up real quick. Here's a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to argue, like, there you go.
Right.
There's two of you. Right. So it creates space. Protecting your peace means knowing when to say, like, I have insufficient funds, because I'm a firm believer, if anyone knows my philosophy, I believe the only and most valuable currency that we have is our time, our energy, our thoughts, our love, our commitments to things, right? That's my currency.
Right.
Is my capacity to people. So if it's 8:00 at night and I've had a hard day at work, or I maybe been arguing with somebody or whatever, and someone calls me with some negativity, I could honestly say, like, hey, I can't afford to have this conversation right now. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow when my currency increases while I'm resting.
Right.
And that is why, you know, self-care is so important. What's the second?
How can you use the platinum rule to approach the conversation with curiosity rather than judgment?
Okay, so think about the last time So I know you had at least one particular scenario in mind when you.
Oh, probably like 200. Right?
Okay, but you think about the most recent one,
Okay.
right? How could you have taken all of your defense mechanisms, like all the things you wanted to do, and then decided, you know what? How does this person want to be treated?
Right.
And if you
Right.
don't know, explain it. Like how can you now reframe it to figure that out even? What
You
are some
know.
of the things you could have asked without even going into your personal
Oh no,
scenario,
no,
but
no.
just and if I
I
already know how
actually
you
have
are.
a really good example.
Okay.
With my children, right, and our conflicts that we may have. Cleaning your room and them doing things that or failing to do things that I asked them to, and then me maybe getting upset on the backside. They're three different individuals. So using the platinum rule to specifically apply to each one of them per one of them is something that I can and should get better at, because I can't treat and react to all three of them the exact same. They're three different individuals. I need to talk to Callie a certain way, and I need to talk to Chili or the way he needs to be talked to.
Mm.
Right? I need to treat and react to Scarlett the way that she needs to be talked to.
What you're saying
You
right
see what I'm
now is
saying?
actually the Platinum Plus rule.
Okay.
And I'm you said it twice. You said it twice,
Yeah.
so I have to do this, right?
Right.
So
Right.
the Platinum rule is treating people the way they want to be
Yep.
treated. The Platinum Plus rule, I believe, is for like educators, parents, people that it's their responsibility to educate. You treat people how they need to be treated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, especially when we're talking like children, I'm not going to presume adults don't know how, what they want,
Right.
but children don't, for sure. And they might to an extent. So we have to we have to treat them how they need to be treated in order for they can find out how they want to be treated.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's where I say that there's the golden rule, the platinum rule, and then the platinum plus is when you put that need on it. You treat someone how they need to be treated, because sometimes someone's been abused so much they think that's what they want to be treated. So the platinum rule would not do you service if you're treating them the way they want to be treated. If an
And they don't
abused
even
person
know.
wants to be abused,
Right.
you're not going to abuse them if that's not in your character.
Come on.
So you're going to treat them the way they need to be treated so that they can see that maybe abuse ain't it.
Right.
You really don't want to be abused. You just think that it's all you deserve because it's all you've ever been.
It's all you ever had. Right.
Right. So sometimes we have to step into the Platinum Plus rule, which takes a little bit more wisdom and care and trauma awareness and informed care and patience.
Yeah.
It takes way more patience and empathy to really be a Platinum Plus rule practitioner. Right. Really getting dialed in with how to treat someone the way they need to be treated in cases where they've been treated so badly they don't know to want to be treated fairly or good.
Okay. Yeah. What is the impact of your words and actions in this scenario? How can you ensure that your words build healing instead of creating resentment?
Okay, so look, I'll be vulnerable. So there was a situation recently, and I have been a recipient of like certain messages, and I'm really particular. So I'm kind of I'm more of a literal person in a lot of ways, right? So if someone says, like you said, if someone says always, I'm the one that would be like, actually, Tuesday I didn't do the thing. Saturday I didn't do the thing.
Right.
So it's really not always, and I can sometimes maybe come across condescending when I'm doing it, when it's someone I'm close to that I'm doing it with often.
And I'm that always type of person. You always,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I
know what you're saying. Yeah.
So I would have to say, like, there was a message. Okay, so for example, I forget what it was. No, my wife was asking me about something happening, and when I said the response, her response was like, "Why? That's dumb," right? And in her mind, she was being curious about why this is what it is. In my mind, you're attacking me because
Yep.
she said why, which is in my mind, I train this stuff. So I'm like,
Right.
like
Hold up.
you're accusing me of
Hold
like being
up.
wrong. Like, and it was something totally innocuous. I'm
Right.
just not putting my business all the way out there, right? It was something totally just regular or whatever, but the response was like, why? And then it was like, that's dumb right after it.
Yep.
And then my response was like, why is that a problem?
Right. Right.
And her response was, it's not a problem. Why are
Right.
you twisting my words and thinking it's a problem? And this is where, you know, the lesson comes in when it comes to like tonality, delivery,
Right.
and words matter. Because me being like a literal person, right, and hearing when I hear those two things put together, why that's done,
Right.
to me, you're attacking the thing
Right.
that just got shared with you.
And that's completely not what she even meant.
Completely not. In
Right.
her mind, she legitimately was curious.
Like asking. Right.
Exactly. To her, that's asking.
Yeah.
So in my mind, and I'm trying to relate to her, like, hey, if you don't say why and don't add the that's dumb after it, I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, try to work on delivery, tonality, and word choice, because why is always, and maybe not always,
Right.
but why is mostly an accusation.
It,
For example, and I did this with
Right.
my daughter on the last episode. She comes home and says, Dad, I just quit my job. And I'm like, why? Versus, Dad, I just quit my job. Baby girl, what happened?
Right. Right.
Two completely different tonalities, but
Yeah.
it's the same question.
It is.
I'm still asking for the story about what led to her quitting
What
her
happened?
job.
Right.
But if I say why, now she's feeling attacked and she's already maybe even being defensive.
She's probably embarrassed already. She's probably got all these emotions, sad about losing the job.
She might end up saying some shit like,
Right.
never mind.
Right.
Never mind, forget it. You know what I mean? Because you're just
didn't want to talk to you about it.
I did want to, but you're going to judge me anyway,
Right.
right? So tonality, when we talk about protecting your peace as a parent, you know, be mindful of how we approach our kids, right? Kids coming in arguing or sad about a school day happening, and instead of saying, what's wrong with you, we can say, damn, what happened at school today? Or what happened with so-and-so? Because then you're removing them from it. You're not blaming them.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking for the story, and then it becomes you and them versus the problem.
Okay.
Instead of they're the problem.
Right.
Totally different.
Same question, just two different deliveries, right?
Yeah, but
you're going to get two different outcomes.
The outcome is going to be the outcome is going to promote bonding, where they're going to share the incident with you, and you're going to remain in a non-judgmental, like listening kind of state where you're holding space for the answer. And then again, the platinum rule says, okay, well, what next? So what are you going to do? Or what do you want to do next? Instead of immediately going into, well, then you should probably,
right.
Instead of shitting on them, continue with curiosity, right? Okay, so now what are you going to do? Are you guys still going to be friends? Like, are you okay to go to school tomorrow? Do you need mediation? What do you want to do next?
And a lot of times they can answer / solve their own problems when you're asking like that. Them, you know what I mean? At least with my kids.
Now we're talking about increasing EQ.
Yeah.
That's how we raise our kids better. That's how we protect our peace and their peace, because that dialogue alone models it for them. Our kids only do what we do as much as we want them to do what we say.
Mm-hmm.
If we shut people down, if we argue in front of them this way and then turn around and tell them, hey, don't do that to your sister, what do you think they're where they're getting it from?
Right.
They're modeling. I mean, we're
what
modeling.
They see.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're modeling what they see. They're mimicking, right? So they don't take verbal commands. They mimic like AI.
Right.
So if you're humble and nice and you see neighbors or you give people food out the window sometimes, I've seen my daughter pull up and someone had a sign and she wanted to give them the extra burger out of her McDonald's and the drink. And
should make you feel good too.
Oh, it does. It does.
Absolutely.
Or she's even asked me, can we, like one day she had like $40 and gave 20 of it. And I explained it to her because when we left the house, we had a whole orientation about, $40, this is what you get to do. And as soon as we turned in the parking lot, she gave half of it away. Knowing the outcome was
Right.
going to be everything.
It's
we
going
just
to change
talked,
everything you guys
everything
just
we just
planned.
talked about is
Right.
now in half. And then I posted it, and like her uncles ended up sending her way more money.
Right.
And then I had to have another talk to her and say, hey, don't think because this was the outcome that
It's
it's
gonna happen
always
every
going to
single
be the
time.
outcome.
Right.
More often than not, in philanthropy, you're not getting funded
Mm-hmm.
because of the good things you're doing, because that's not why true philanthropists do what we do.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm one of them. Right. So,
correct.
What are your thoughts? Closing out, we're almost wrapping up this episode, brother.
Let me read some of these takeaways.
Let's read some of the takeaways. Perfect.
Key takeaways for protecting your peace. Curiosity over judgment. Choose to be curious rather than reactive when conflicts arise. Seek to understand rather than assume. Use your words carefully. Your words hold power. So much power. Make them count for healing, connection, and understanding, not conflict. Boundaries are necessary. Boundaries protect your peace. Learn to set them in firmly and lovingly in all relationships. The platinum rule. Treat others as they wish to be treated, not as you wish to be treated. This shows respect for their needs and preserves harmony. Do your best. In all relationships, simply do your best. Show up with love, honesty, and care, and trust that your best is enough. By protecting your peace, you create healthier, more peaceful space in your relationships, ultimately allowing for deeper, more meaningful connections.
So I got to ask live, just because, I like to put people on the spot. You coming back?
Yeah.
For more of these?
Yeah. Next Saturday, right?
After next Saturday, right?
Yeah, I'll be here midday Saturday.
Yeah, we got 48 lessons in here.
I'll come right after
all different topics. My daughter will do something. So even when you can't make it, I'll have other I'm trying to get them out as soon as possible. All 48. That's me. I see a project. I'm like, all right, this is the next project. The next project is to get the content of every chapter out, either by myself, with a guest. I much prefer guests, especially people like you, brother, that I know, you're my family.
Yes, sir.
You are a hell of a father.
Thank you.
And dedicated man's man. You exemplify masculine humility, right? You're big, you're strong, but you don't make people feel small.
Right.
And that's, in a nutshell, like we'll have a whole episode on that, but in a nutshell, that's my take on masculine humility, right? Is knowing you can do certain things
without pumping your chest
but never having to do them, and never even being in that space where people feel intimidated. I like to believe that I can make people feel brave enough to realize they're safe in space with me, right? Because I have no intention of causing harm, creating harm, engaging in conflict. This has been some of the best couple years of my life where I can say I don't have any enemies, known or unknown. Well, if they're unknown, they're unknown, but I don't have any enemies. I personally ain't out to get nobody. I ain't tripping
Nobody's
on nobody.
hunting you down.
I'm not worried about nobody. And
it's a good feeling.
Yeah, and I don't want no smoke.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's not protecting my peace. It just doesn't. Right? What protects my peace
we don't want to show our kids that lifestyle.
Well, we already did.
Right.
We already showed them that. And now we're showing them the other side of that coin. Right. And it's better. And it feels better. And there might not be a bag attached to it, but the value is far more valuable than if someone said, hey, I'm going to give you 100,000 grant to do all these programs. No, I'm doing these out of pocket. And unless people buy the books or even interested, I don't make anything. I'm in debt doing all this. But that debt to me is irrelevant because I sat in prison for so long. I didn't even have a sense of value of money. What's $50 a month on an account I can't touch?
Right.
That's what we were doing when we were in lockup. So I view money differently, right? This is what holds currency and value to me, is communicating, building better families, sitting down with my family members and my daughters and being able to bond with them over essentially a hobby, right? I take it
Right.
very serious. I study. I'm diligent in my research, in my communication, in my conversations, trainings, videos, books, audio books. Like I really take the research behind the things that I'm trying. They're tools, right? And I'm trying to collect as many as I can to give them away.
Yes, sir.